Hello YouTube, I'm back again with a new Django playlist. Very interesting stuff. So what we are going to do here is we will learn how to create with minimum of HTML something that can be turned into money-making website. But to create money-making website with Django, with a little bit of Bootstrap, maybe later, you need to understand the basics. So what we are doing here is we are creating to-do generic kinda CMS. So if you understand this, you will understand everything a little bit later, and you can really turn it into money-making website if you are into money, you know, and who isn't. So we have our system here, I mean Django server running normally and totally correctly on port 8000 on localhost, and we see requests from end user, which in this case is just me on localhost, obviously. So where I was, yeah, so what we are going to do here is we will create really simple index page where you can check new posts that you will define where, here, see, new posts. And the question is, okay, we will see those posts here. That's fine, that's cool, that's totally normal and understandable. But where we will change it? We will change it into admin section of default Django kinda control panel. And let me just briefly add test post number 3 to, you know, so you can see what I'm talking about. So new posts, and immediately let me show that to you. Immediately you will see that request into server. So let's go to home and refresh. See, everything works totally nice when you click. But please note, see this slash here, when I click on new post, the system will transfer us, I mean our system will transfer us to specific route. So that route is dedicated for entering new posts. Okay, see right here. So the same thing. Okay, now let's add test post number 3, and the content will be something to do tomorrow, something like that, or something more, who cares. So when I click on submit, there you go, everything is totally fine, and we have that post right here. So when I click on it, I also have details. See, details, that specific route, and we will learn about that too. And we also have from a server that status message, which is basically into numbers, but you don't need to know all those status message numbers. Basically when you see 200, that means everything is fine. So the number of what we have here is the number of posts is 19 in my case. You can see previous posts because I was doing this and practicing. And you have title, you have actual content, and you have some metadata like when the entry was done. Then either you can click here to go to home or here, it's up to you. Well, we just want to change something because when I click on home, I don't have that option to change or delete. And as I said, we will use Django admin default control panel to do that. So let's click on admin. Did I click? Yes, but I need to wait for something to happen. Okay, so waiting for localhost. The Django is working. For some reason, it doesn't respond very nicely. So let me just kill the server. Okay, so there it is. I think it's because of caching. So let me just briefly restart the server. And this is how you start server. You just type python manage py run server, but we are going to learn about that too. So where I was, let's go again to home page. Okay, everything is nice. Let's go to admin, and okay, we can continue. So what was the credentials that I was using? Something extremely secure, like admin login, and please observe here what's going to happen. Everything is fine. Now we are in control panel. So let me just minimize this down there, and let me reposition things on screen. So this is Django basically administration, and this is what we have in a header. basically we can go to view our site, so that this is kind of backlink, and we can change password, which we can do, but we don't care about that because this is testing system, and we can go out from the control panel. Now this is the list of recent action that was I doing couple of some time ago. And this thing is dedicated here. This part is dedicated for user accounts, specific individual users and groups. Why is that important? It's important because it's like in Linux or BSD or Unix or on Windows. You are creating basically groups with specific permissions. So you don't need to think about every individual user. You just set what specific group can do, and then you assign specific user to that specific group. Basically, you're saving yourselves a little bit of time. And of course, you can define that new user here. Okay, but we will talk about that too. So this is the place for our application, for options in our application. And right now I have just only this one application and this one option, like posts. But of course, because Django can create very big stuff, you will over time learn how to activate many applications with many options into your Django control panel. I mean, I'm using the term control panel here, but Django administration panel or something. So when I click on posts, I of course see it, and I can do something with those posts, like I can go it on them, I can change something here totally normally. Oops, did I delete? No, take me back. So I can change things here. I can click on save, and also there are a couple of other options like save and add another, directly into control panel, save and continue editing. But let's just delete everything what I have here. Okay, let's go through these posts one by one, and that's about it. So I have deleted everything. So let's just go out and log in again. Now let's go to our home page, and you need to see just bare bone, like this, really simple stuff. So home works, new posts, that works, entry fields, basically entry forms that are really simple into HTML, simple to do, and the admin panel that will basically took over editing, deleting, updating of our posts. Really simple stuff. So as I said, later when you learn alongside with me a couple of new things, and I also have a lot of playlists on my channel for Bootstrap and for CSS and so on. You can turn this into really nice money making website or something useful on your internet. And yeah, I'm using the term here to do generic to do. Where I was, let me just, yeah, who cares? Look, in my case that application is into root of my drive, and also I will use the same approach a little bit later, I mean in the next tutorial. So let's just delete this application. I will completely destroy it, and we'll start from ground zero in the next tutorial. So yeah, I don't want to delete it. Let's just copy, cut it and paste it to desktop. Okay, and yeah, try again. The action can't be completed because the folder or the file in it is open in another program. Oh yeah, stupid me. So that was extremely dumb. So let's get out from control panel and let's try again. So that's it. This is just for reference, and we're going to use, I think that I have Atom editor. You can use whatever you like. And yeah, I'm going to use Atom because a lot of people use it, but normally when I'm programming, I do have tremendous peace of mind when I am working into Farm Manager. It is really nice old school editor, but I figure it out that some people doesn't like this old stuff. So yeah, I will just go with Atom. So anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's continue with our Django story. So Django is based on Python, and of course you need to have Python to install Django. If you don't have it, just grab it from official websites. Always download these kind of applications, serious stuff, programming, business related stuff from official websites. If you don't, there is a great chance that you will get some kind of present in a form of Trojan, malware, or something like that. So, before getting into Django, check this out. Python is a programming language that lets you work quickly and integrate system more effectively. That's true, and that's awesome, okay? Some people will say that Python is easy to learn, and I disagree. Python is heavy, general purpose, really serious, in the industry-proven programming language. And because syntax of Python looks human, looks English, looks easy, that doesn't mean that Python is a joke of programming language. This thing here is really, really serious, on the same level as C, C++, Java, JavaScript, or whatever you call it in your language, Java, JavaScript, and so on. So this is really serious stuff, but this is not, about history of Python and so on. So let's continue with Django. So because I'm on Windows, let's go to command prompt, and in your case, if you're on Linux or similar system, you need to go to terminal. So let me reposition myself to root of my drive, because as I said, this will be the place where I will create my general Django project. So yeah, some people, if you guys are experienced, you can use virtual environments, but I can't destroy anything serious here, so I will just go with one normal Python and Django installation. So how to install Django if you don't have it? Pip install Django, press enter, and let's see what kind of status lines we can get here. And if this process took a little bit longer, then I think that it will what I just said, I don't know. Look, I will just pause for a couple of seconds until this is done. Okay, so we are done. Now we have Django 2.2.5 version, and always when you're installing Django you will get latest version. So the next thing, what we need to type to establish that general Django project folder, what we need to type? This Django, Django admin, and after that start project, exactly like it's here, okay? And don't miss here this line, middle line. What's the term in English? I always forget this. So this is not lower line, this is middle line. That's important. After that, just type the name of project, generic to do or whatever you like. And this is not the name of your application. This is name of general Django project, and that general project can hold many sub-applications, many mini applications like blogs and forums and image upload sections and so on, galleries, so on. So yeah, let's press enter. And let's see what's up. I have information for hours that something is going on, and I basically don't care. So let's just see what's up. Okay, enter. And now the thing is, we must to issue the next commands, we must go to this general folder. So not border but folder. Yeah. So cd to do generic. And let's see what is into this folder. So there, because I'm on Windows, and ls if you're on Linux machines, what we have here is manage.py. This is a crucial file that will be always used to issue additional subcommands. And to do generic, this folder is also named like general folder, but this is the place where you will have your settings. So this is like general project folder, and this is the place where you will have settings. So let's just briefly go there. cd to do generic, and we are there. So there, and check this out, settings file, extremely important file. For example, when you create sub-applications, this will be the place where you will tell Django that you have that new sub-application. If you don't state that in the settings file, and we will learn how to do that, Django will basically, it will not know that you have created it. If it doesn't know what to do with it. Now URLs, that file is important for routing. For example, when user hits your browser, I mean when user with browser hits your website in a specific route, then specific function that will generate HTML page will be activated. So these routes are like a major switchboard for all other sub-applications inside of your general Django project folder. Right, VSGI, that's important for deployment, basically for web server, and this means just that this directory is treated like classical package. So don't worry, we will explain everything. So anyway, let's go back one level, CLS, and the next command is how to run server for the first time, just to see what's happening. Do you have any kind of errors in the meantime? So you will not use Django admin directly here, you will use Python, that manage py file, which is important, and run server. If I don't know how to type. So when I press enter, we need to have status messages here, and yeah, so system check identified no issues, so there is no need to silence anything, any warnings, but we need to apply some kind of migrations. What that means? Well, that basically means that we are preparing Django to mess around with databases and with backends. So it's kind of preparation, and the thing is extremely easy, I promise. Now the system runs on localhost, and this is default port. So let's just go and check it. So this was from before when I didn't have a project, and now when I run it, we have our default Django landing page here, totally fine. So next thing. The next thing is let's kill our server just for a second, because right now we need to create actual application, to-do application. So how to do that? Type Python manage py again and start application, and the name will be just to-do, and when I press enter, that will be done in a split of a second. Let's see what's up. See, to-do is created, and in that directory we have a couple of very important things, and this is the place where we will spend a lot of our time. So this is for administration, this is for how your database will basically look like, this is the place for a function that will be activated, and we also need to create one file here for specific routing that are connected to that sub-application. So don't worry, we will just learn that over time. Okay, next thing. Let's apply those migrations. So how to do that? Just type Python manage py again and migrate and enter. Oops, sorry, I'm in wrong directory. I just need to go one level back. So Python manage py migrate, enter, and you will see a list here. So now we have those migrations and everything, migrations done, and everything is fine. Now, what is the next step? The next step is to create super user for Django administration, administrative, whatever panel. So how to do that? Type Python manage py create super user. Okay, when you press enter, just a second, I typed that correctly, I think. Create super user. Oh yeah, I didn't finish command. So anyway, the username, let's say admin. I mean, of course, if you're doing something serious, you need to care about security, but right now this is just, you know, a brief test throwaway system, so who cares. So admin and email address admin, and you will see exact same data into control panel. I mean, not control panel of Windows, but of Django. So enter password, of course admin, because that's the most secure password, and again let's repeat that most secure password, admin. So bypass password validation, hell yeah, yes. and super users created successfully. The next step is to activate server again to see did we fix that migrations and can we log into Django administration. So Python manage py. You can write somewhere these commands, but you can also, you know, just go on internet and search for them, especially on Django official documentation. But yeah, I mean, you can memorize them, and over time, in any case, you will memorize them. So Python manage run server, enter, and you will see that we don't have problems with migration. See, so that message is done, everything is fine, and pretty much our system is running. So let's go to our admin section. So this works, okay, and you will see requests here. Okay, so every time when I refresh the page, there will be new line here. And let's go to admin section. So admin, enter, and there we go. So admin and enter. So that's pretty much it. So in a last tutorial, I think in first tutorial I explained a little bit about control panel, so I will not waste our time on that anymore. So if you remember, we don't see to-do application here and posts. The reason is every time when you create sub application, you need to state that into specific configuration file inside of your sub application folder. And that's easy. That's really easy thing. It's like one line of commands, and you will see down there the sections like posts and images and so on, if you have them in your project documentation, in what you have envisioned that your project will be basically. So I'm gonna shut up and render, and we will see each other in the next tutorial, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching and see you there. Hello YouTube, welcome to part 3 of our Django playlist. Objective in this tutorial will be to understand settings file, settings.py, and to understand views and routes. And we will also create really simple HTML page and load it. So let's just go to, in this case, Atom. I don't know what you're doing, but I will stick with Atom for now. We need to add to left side our project, general Django project. So file, add project folder, and because in my case it's in the root of my drive, let's just click on it and select folder. So what these things in the left side means, to do generic, this is the folder where you will have overall settings for your all sub applications. For example, in settings file you will have base directory set. Why is this important? Because later when you set static files, meaning CSS and JavaScript and images, you will use that base directory to set your static folder here. We will learn about that too, okay, but we are just going briefly through all of it. Secret key, that's when you're deploying into real world. Debug true, that means that you will see all errors, which is good, that means you can correct them. Allowed host, that's pretty much self-explanatory. And the most important things for us as beginners here is this section. Why? Because in this section you need to add your sub application that you have created. In this case, in our case, that is to do. So because this is classical Python list, we will just add inside of single quotes that application, which is to do, and put a comma after that, because assumption is that over time you will create many subsections of your website, many sub applications and so on. So that's kind of the most important thing. So let's save, Control NS, our file. And what is also important here, URL spy. This file, let me just delete these comments. This file is extremely important for general routing. That means that the user hits with their browser your site, specific route. This file will send them to specific functions that will generate specific results. Actually, This is kind of major switchboard that will lead to another local switchboards inside of subsections, inside of sub-applications. So this is like a control table for some kind of website networking. So these routes will lead to local routes that will lead to functions that will lead to HTML files. Like we have layers of routing. Okay. Now, what else? DB SQLite 3 means that you have established those, that you have done those migrations that we were talking about in last tutorial. And that means that your Django administrative panel is working fine, that you have set a super user, and that you can actually, with SQLite 3, emulate some weird, sorry, not weird, but real world database kind of work. Okay, like MySQL and so on. But this is kind of, you know, generic simple solution where you can practice out of the box. And manage.py is that file that you don't need to change, just don't change it, it can be dangerous. This file you will use to run other sub commands, you know, in a terminal, in a command prompt. Python manage.py do this, Python manage.py do that. Okay, so don't change this file. It is relatively similar to all Django applications that is used by most of the people, but don't change it. Okay, just leave it in place for now. What else? Inside of our sub application we have migrations folder. Basically, when you're defining your database in models like MySQL columns, tables, every time when you do some kind of change for reason that you know about, that need to be applied. So you will apply those changes through migrations, and those migrations will be reflected into migrations folder. So we'll see a list of them right here. Okay, the next thing is admin.py. This file is important when you are including part of your application that you have into Django administration panel. So remember, I think that you remember from last tutorials, in default Django administration you have just groups and users, but if you want to include something from either this one or another one sub-application into actual Django administration, you will state that here on a specific lines. For example, if you have posts, you will state that here. Okay, the next thing that is important is views.py. This is the file where you will define functions, and those functions will be activated by URLs or by routes. So when they are activated, they will pull things from database. Basically, if your website is dynamic, or if it's not, it will just render that hard-coded content. So let's just create, for simplicity reasons, index file, and inside of our sub application we will create template folder, templates, and inside of that folder we will create index.html, and for now, just for now, we will put some very simple content here, like generic content, something like that. It's really not important. So objective here is to use this file just to load our first HTML page to see do we have functions working fine, and also is our routing set as it needs to be. So this is just, you know, generic stuff, totally unimportant. Okay, after we are done that, we will go to views.py, and here we will create a specific function that will grab that index HTML. So Django functions are basically Python functions, and if you know Python, this will be really easy thing to understand. So let's define one function, and the name of function will be index. It can be something else, it is totally up to you. So that function needs to deal with something, and that will be request from that route. So just type here request, and after that we need inside the function to define what we are going to render to end user. And how to write that? We will return that rendered page. How to write that? Return render based on that request index page inside the quotes. Don't forget quotes, okay? Index.html, and after that we will use empty dictionary. Now, why do we need empty dictionary? So remember, the objective of web frameworks is to basically work with databases and to simplify your life as a programmer. So that means that you are working with dynamic stuff, with databases. So when you're pulling things out, you need that actual data, but you also need the name for that data to use it later in your programming, into your framework, into your scripts. So dictionaries are excellent for that, because they have a left side keys and right side values. So think about dictionaries as something that will, some virtual hand that will grab thing from databases and name it, like give it a handle so you can use it all over the place in your source code. Left side name for data, and right side actual data, so keys and values. So names for data, handle, and actual data. Okay, that's important to note. So this needs to work. Okay, and let's save our file. Now what? When we have our function, we need to create a local switchboard, local routing, because we can have many applications and Django doesn't know in front what kind of routing we need, how many functions we will have, and where those from where those functions will be activated, because one function can be activated from many routes for specific reasons, and you will learn that over time. Like when user hits couple of paths on your site, you will render them, for example, same 4 or 4 error page. So without too much theory, let's go to practice. So inside of your sub application, and not inside of your templates, okay, so inside of your sub application, we must create basically urls.py, and this is local routing, local switchboard for specific sub application. Now, what kind of content we need to put here? The easiest thing is go to your general folder, go to URLs, copy everything from here and paste it into URLs, your local routing switchboard. So we don't need admin because we already have it from general routing. So for simplicity reasons, I'm gonna delete it. You can also leave it. So yeah, I'm just going to comment it. So who cares? Now, see this? In this URLs file, we need to state from where we will call those functions. Now, this file here need to be imported right here. So how to do that? From dot, which basically means from local directory, import views. Views is the name of our file. Okay, now we can have this line here, but we can also delete it. It's totally up to you. Let's actually delete it. So right now we are creating what routing for what will happen when user lands on root of our website, on home page. So how to do that? Path, and this empty singlies, that means that user is trying to access the root of our website, the home page, the index.html in HTML terminology, or kinda index PHP in PHP terminology. Now after that, what function will be activated when user hits that route, that path, and that will be views.index. Okay, this one views file, and in that file we have, let me show you, we have this function. So basically from this file to this file, it's kind of imaginary line that is connecting them like virtual cables. So where I was, yeah, URLs. So views dot index, because this is the name of the function we created, and after that we will specify name for this whole route. Now why do we need name, like some kind of handle, which will be the same name as a name of function? Because later when you're creating complicated templates, it is much easier to work with these handles than all over the place to change the names of actual functions, because it's easier. So you will only state once into your templates index, and then if you need it, you can change those functions over time if you need it a little bit later in URLs file, local URLs file. So this is kind of, how to even explain it, I don't know. You will get that over time, like handles that is saving you time, like a virtual helping hand, something like that. Okay, now of course we can have many routes here defined. Now there is yet another thing that we need to do, and that is including, we need to include this local switchboard into general Django project switchboard. So this is local switchboard, and let's plug these cables into general switchboard. So how to do that? Just state here path and root of your website, and then include that local switchboard. And how to state that? To do, okay, is the name of our application dot URLs. Okay, that's what you need to do. So after that, put the comma, because you can have many sub applications, right? But there is yet another thing that need to be stated here, and that is that we will include including. And how to define that? See here, Django URLs, remember that. And when you see the line Django.urls, and when you are creating sub applications, add here comma and say include. I need to go to sleep. I'm messing these keyboards, these typings. So I think that if I didn't create any error, this need to work basically, hopefully. Okay, so let's go to our website, kinda on internet or something, and let's create a refresh. And if everything is fine, I need to see here that generic index HTML. So let me see. Okay, so the server is working, and refresh, and there you go. So in the next tutorial we will just briefly remind ourselves about this, like, you know, to refresh ourselves, and then I will figure something interesting out, like improving that index HTML page, and we will go and structure that page as it was in the first video when I was showing what I was doing. Yes, I'm just gonna shut up and render. Thank you for watching, for support and subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, in this tutorial we are going to go through steps that we done in the last tutorial, just to briefly remind ourselves, and then we will go to creation of actual post and fixing our Django administration and creation of HTML pages. So really briefly, when you create your project, go to, in this case to do, go to settings file and add that project here. And you're done with settings.py. Next thing, go to your sub-application, create templates folder. In that folder, create index.html or any other HTML file you need. But this is the simplest possible scenario, so index.html will get the job done. The next thing, go to views file. In that file, when you open it, you will see this line. So what you need to add here is function that will be activated through route. The task of this function is to return rendered index.html. So based on that specific request that will be defined in URLs file, you will return specific HTML page. Reason we have dictionary here is to it will be easier for us to pull things from database, giving them some specific handle on the left side for key, and on the right side there will be actual data. So next thing, go and create URLs, empty URLs file in your sub application. That will be empty file. Okay, then go to your general Django project, to same URL file, grab everything from here, copy that to local file, and then you can remove this line, okay, but you can also leave it if you like. Then create here, add this line from .import views, because you are telling Django here that in URLs file you will import those functions. You will not import them directly, you will just like put them on standby when you need it, basically, but they will be there. So that's the simplest possible explanation. After that, you will define path. The path when user with their browsers access your root of your website, something will be activated, and that what will be activated is function from views file. See, views file dot specific function that is defined in that views file. Now this here name index is handle that will be used all over the place in templates. The handle for this function. Why we need a handle? Because it is easier to work into templates. You don't need to change all over the place functions. You can just change and reallocate them into one URLs file. So handles will be relatively static, and if you need, over time you can mishmash those functions, you can interconnect them, you can change them, you can delete them and create specific paths and so on. So that's pretty much it about recollecting what we have done in the last tutorial, which was around 18 minutes or something. So right now what we need to do is we will go to this file, model.py, and we will start creating our posts. Basically we are modeling here our database. So let's go. Okay, now we need to structure our database. How to do that? Let me just delete this comment, I don't like it. And first thing first, we will use object-oriented approach here, but if you don't have a lot of experience, that's completely fine, because everything will be pretty much self-explanatory. Let me just type the code. So class, what will be the name of the class? The name will be posts. Why? Because when you have to-do application or something similar, you wanna have basically title and actual content, which will be text, and probably, like in my case, you wanna have some kind of date time information to know when you have entered that entry. So that will be named posts. It can be something else, but a lot of people use posts here, and that's self-explanatory. After that, we need to state that we are going to use already present established models. What that means? That means, let me just type that. That means that we are going to use, how to explain this? If you have ever done something into MySQL, you know that when you're creating columns, you need to specify type of data, like is it one character, is it variable character, is it big text, does it have, is it primary key, is it auto-incrementing, and so on. So that's pretty much it what we are doing here. So the next thing is, let's define title for our post. So title, that's generic, and now we are going to use those already established present models. So this is like column, the type of data in MySQL, and there is a lot of things that are Django specific here, but they're still similar to MySQL. So this will be character field, and maximum length of that we will set to be 200. Max length will be 200. Okay, and don't put dot after this line or comma, just go to next line. So we have defined how our title will look like, basically. The next thing, we need to have some kind of content, I mean useful to do, what we're gonna do to that specific day. I mean entry, details on entries. So that will be just text, a lot of text. Okay, now again we need to put models here, and what column will that be, how it look like? That will just be text field, Django specific stuff, text field, and you can, for simplicity reasons, just continue to next line. Okay, now there is couple of things also that need to be done when you're working with complicated CMSs, but this is just simple to do. So let's just understand things, and then over time we can improve it either in this playlist or another playlist. So next thing, we need the data when we have that entry. So when we have created that entry, how we will get that? We will call models, and from models we'll grab date time field, and we need the default. So the moment when we press enter or submit button, we need to grab that default minutes and seconds and hours. So default equals date time now. Now this also means that we need to include this date time module, and that's pretty much easy thing to do in Python. From date time import date time. So let's save our models, and you will probably say, well, we will see this in control panel, and let's see, do we actually see it there, and if we don't, what we need to do. So I will kill this server. Why? Because we need to apply migrations. See, something will happen in this folder. So every time when you create changes, you need to apply migrations. So Python manage make migrations. Okay, so migrations for to do. Okay, initial 001. There we go. Create model post. So we have created model post into SQLite, right? You can also click on this file and see what's in it, but you know what is important here is just to go to process. After this, we cannot just start our server again and go to administrative panel. We need to apply migrations. So we can make them here, so we now need to apply them. How to do that? It's really easy. Just say Python manage, and you already know this, migrate. Migrate, enter, and it seems that everything is fine. So we have applied those migrations, everything is fine, and that's it. Now every time when you apply migrations, you will see their lists here, and that's very, very cool stuff, because you basically can track what you have done. Now, yeah, what I need to do now? Yeah, let's go to control panel, but first we need to start our server. So Python manage run server, and I think that everything will be fine. Okay, so everything is fine, no errors, performing system checks, zero silence, nice. So when I refresh, everything will be same. That's cool. HTML works. Let's go to admin section, extra secure password, admin, and our Django administration works, but you don't see those posts. And this is the thing. Every time when you do migrations, when you change something in your database, when you add, for example, new posts, new sections, you need to state that manually. Now, where to state that manually? Okay, here's the thing. Go to your editor. Where is it? Just for a second. See here, admin.py. Go there and see this line, register your models here. So every time when you change them, or basically when you create them, you must state that here if you want to see it into Django administration. So what you need to type is first from .models import posts. So that's what you need to do. Okay, here and down there you need to say exactly this. To administrative panel side, you need to register something, and that something will be posts. Okay, so I will save, and let's go to our control panel to see what's up. See, there we go. So you don't need to apply some migrations here. You don't need to migrate. It's already basically done because our system was working fine. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So next thing, because we don't have index.html form to enter our post, we will use this Django administration to enter a couple of posts just to see if everything is fine. So we will click on posts and add posts, and see we have our title up to 200 characters, we have text, some big content for example, and we have default data time. So test entry or something like that, who cares, and some content, and I don't need to mess around with dates. It's already done. And when you press save, there you go. Now you will see here the name, which is posts object 1, but when you click on it you will see the title is different. So the task in the next tutorial will be to fix this listing to show you the title. And if you see here, we have posts and 2s, so we also need to fix that. But I definitely think that there is a time for rest ourselves, and I need to shut up and render. And thank you for watching, for subscription, and see you next tutorial. I really think that when you have done this, you know, models, everything else will be easy. And I promise, through a couple of hours of practicing, you will be pro in Django. Anyway, I definitely need to shut up and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's improve our models, let's improve our Django admin panel. So the first thing first, let's go into posts and let's turn this post object, which is generic thing, okay, number 1, number 2, number 3, into actual titles. So briefly, I will just add a couple of posts here so we can work with something that looks like real stuff, like this. That will be really quick. And also next one, okay, and now we have some kind of generic listings. So what we need to do is we need to go to our models.py, and down there we need to add this str and self, and we need to return actual titles. So self title, which title? This one, okay. Now you're probably wondering how I know that I need to type this. Where did I get this? Do I know that on top of my mind? Well, no, we have that in the documentation. Let me show you. So this is for 2.2 version of Django, so that's Django that we are working right now, tutorial 02, and somewhere on the middle of the page they will also say, wait a minute, this bunch of stuff isn't a helpful representation of this object, which in our case that object is title. Okay, so let's fix that by editing the question. They are using question and we are using posts. Model in pools models.py. So pools are their application. In our case that's to do, but models.py is a common thing. So they're adding a str method to both their question and choice. We only have posts. So see what they are doing. Okay, def str self, that's what we have done, and they are returning self dot some question text. In our case we need to return self dot title, and they also do that for choice, so both for question and choice, but this is their example. Okay, so let's see, did I save this? Just a second. Yeah, I saved that. When I press refresh, will we see that changes here, or we need to apply migrations because we are working with models.py file? So refresh, and we don't need to apply migrations, so that's cool. Now that's the one part of the story. The next part is we have two SS's here, two S's at the end. So how to change that? Again, we need to go to models.py, and down there we need to add specific class, meta class. So every time when you are basically beautifying your reports in Django, you will use class meta this, class meta that. Class meta, and after that we need to say verbose name plural. Okay, and we need to define what we exactly wanna post that there in a Django admin. In this case, just post. So not this or that was by default, just posts, one S. Okay, so let's save and let's see what will happen. Observe these two S's here. There you go, we have fixed the stuff. Now you're probably wondering, can we put something else here? Well, let me see. Posts from to do application. Can we do that for some reason? For example, if we are programmers, I mean obviously we are backend stuff, and we have some journalists working for us, and they cannot distinguish between posts here and there and somewhere else, so we can just say this is for to do application. I mean, for a lot of people it's obvious because we are already on to do level, but you know, some people, some new journalists, junior journalists, web journalists, whatever, they can be puzzled, you know. So refresh, and there you go, posts from to do application. But for simplicity reasons I would just go to admin, I mean our atom, and I will save this to be 1S and refresh, and there you go. So we have fixed things. Posts are fine and our reports are fine, I mean listing. So you're wondering, how the hell I know that I need to use class meta? Because in documentation, again for version 2, in link models/options, we see that they're using verbose name plural, and then they're defining something here. So they're saying stories, we are just saying posts, and so on. And the title, official title, if you don't want to remember this link, is model meta options, somewhere at the end of the page, basically. Yeah, or you can just go to search for specific string, which in this case is verbose name plural. So that's kind of it. Now what we have here is very good base to create our index page and to grab actual listing in HTML page. So not in Django admin, but in HTML pages. So we need to go through creation of a base template, header, footer, through for each loop for every of those posts and so on. So I don't want to go to 20 minutes again of tutorial. I'm just gonna shut up and render. As always, thank you for support, for subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, objective in this tutorial will be to modify index of our website in such a way that we will get basically listing of posts right here. That means that we need to change a couple of things. The views file with specific function, and then we need to change actual index.html. So first thing first, let's go to views and let's modify this function. So actually I will just for reference put it down there and pull it out of service so you can see the difference. Right, so let's create a function which will have the same name. Of course it will need specific request from end user. After that we need to define how to extract all posts from our tables. So how to do that? Let's use the name here all posts because that's self-explanatory. Now the name of our entries are basically posts. Yeah, so that's, I've just typed that here, posts. So from posts we need to extract either individual posts or great number of posts. How to do that? Just type object dot all. So when you're extracting everything you will say all, and after that it's up to you to specify how much. In this case, for simplicity reasons, let's say that we need at most of 10 posts. So this is classical Python stuff. You will just define that as I'm writing right here. So again, the difference between this function and this function is that we will return here just crude hard-coded HTML, but with this line we are extracting from posts everything up to 10 results, and we are putting results of this operation into all posts. Is it enough? No. Now we need to create context here. I'm using term context, name context, but you can use whatever you like. A lot of people basically use contexts. See this dictionary here? I said in the last tutorials that when you're dynamically grabbing things you will use dictionary. So context is basically this dictionary improved. Let's just type that context or something else, it's up to you, must be dictionary. So name for our results will be all posts. That's the name, okay? And after that just put those posts here. So what's the difference? This is a name, it's a key, it's a left side, and these are actual data from our table. So this is kind of handle and this is actual stuff. So this is our context. Now because we need to pass our context to render it, how to do that? Is it similar like this line here? Yes, it is. So what we need to write is we will return rendered that index HTML page based on request, and we will pass context to it. So we don't see these brackets here right now because now we actually have some real data to work with, and these are those data and we get them from this line right here. So how to simplify this? You need to grab things, you need to you need to name things you have grabbed, and then you need to render it and return it to external world, basically. So that's a modified function, right? So we have our function working fine, but how to confirm that? Well, we need to also modify our index file. So let's just change this into results or all posts, for example. And what we need to type is a specific for loop in Django. So normally in Python you will say something like for x in range, for example, 10 print that specific x. So this is classical Python stuff, but this what we are doing is Django. Okay, so the things need to be web ready. Okay, so how to do this? It's really simple. We need to open here for loop, and how to do that? I always mix these, sorry. So use brackets and percent symbols, and then inside of percent symbols you will say for post, one individual post in all posts, we need to loop. And how to loop? We will loop using a little bit of programming, a little bit of HTML. So we need unordered list, oops, and we need to close it down there, UL, and we need individual li's. So li, and let's close it, li, and inside we will say for posts, this specific individual post that we are grabbing from all posts, we need to extract some details. So how to do that? Use these double brackets and say post, that's original, you know, the source. So this one is this one that we are grabbing from all these. We need to extract ID, and that's a primary key basically. And after that, let's also concatenate that with something else, which will be posts and title. And also let's just add here post, and also we will grab text. Why not? We have space. Now after we are done with this hard-coded HTML, we need to close our loop. So end for, oops, this must be concatenated, right? So let's save this thing and let's go through it again. So when you are listing things dynamically with Django, you need to open loop, you need to close loop. Inside of your loop, for every individual element that you have got by extraction from all posts, and where is this all post? This all post is from views function, so it's kind of in memory of PC. It's already done, you just need to extract it. We are creating normal UL, unordered list, and inside every li will be concatenated of individual pieces like ID, title, text, or whatever you have. And these posts is this one, is this one, is this one, is the same thing. So this is like general result, and by stating something after dot, you're extracting those individual entries from column, from rows basically in your table. So what is the pseudocode here? For post in results, just for example print post dot something, ID, or like post title, and so on. So this is kind of pseudocode. Okay, I think that's That's enough. So let's check our results. Where is my browser? Just a second. Okay, and now if I've done everything correctly, when I refresh, I need to see 3 lines here with the data from individual posts. Name posts is not defined. Let me just see what I have messed up. Okay, so we have problem in a file views.py in index line 4. That's the location, and the error is name post is not defined. That means that I didn't include posts into views file. So let's fix that briefly. Okay, where is it? This file. Okay, I'm using posts, but I didn't include it, which is exceptionally dumb, but it will happen over time. So from models, import posts and save and refresh, and damn it. Oh yeah, so type object posts has no attribute object. So I'm creating syntax error here. There is no object, there is objects. Okay, many of them. So objects, save, and this thing need to work 100% again. Okay, that's it. So that's cool. Now we have posts, and that's hard-coded HTML, and this is dynamically extracted. So 1, 2, 3, those are IDs. Test entry, real stuff, and next one are titles, and this is content. And if you check your admin panel, you will basically see that it's correct. So posts, see, next one real stuff and test entry, next one real stuff and test entry. Anyway, I'm going to 12 minutes, damn it, again long post, I mean tutorial. So as always, thank you for watching, for subscription, and don't be afraid because of those errors. Those errors will help you basically to evade them in the future. So the more you have them into process of learning, the better. So they're your friends. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to shut up and render, and thank you for watching, for support and subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube. In this tutorial, objective will be to create base template so that our index page and any other custom and dynamically generated page can inherit from that base template. Now, over time, we will learn also how to split that base template into parts for navigation, header, and for analytic code or advertising or additional navigation. We will put that into footer. Yeah, basically the common part of today's websites. So let's go to our editor, and in templates folder we will create a new file which will be base.html. Now of course you can use any other name, but base is self-explanatory. So to save ourselves a little bit of time, I will just use really really simplest possible version of HTML5 page. Now this means that we are working with HTML5. The language on a page will be in English. The character set will be UTF-8, which means that if your language is not English, there is a great chance that all modern browsers will correctly render that specific local content, I mean characters. So UTF-8 is great for that. Now the title is really not important, and actually the whole section here is not, whole head section is not important here. Really simple HTML stuff. So of course in an ordered list inside of our body tag we will create navigation using individual LIs. So we need link on every page to home page, and there is also a couple of other links we need to have. The next one will be new post, and also we need to use administrative Django panel to use it to edit, delete, and update our posts. So the only custom kind of thing we are using here, because this is our first simple Django CMS, is actual addition of new posts, and we will learn how to do that. But of course we need to understand basics of dynamic navigation and blocks of content. So admin, and let's save our page. And now you will probably say, when I save this and when I go to our page, index page, when I refresh, I will see everything here and also navigation. But let me just do that. So that happens, but where is navigation? So the thing is that in every page that is custom page, in this case that is index.html and many others that will be dynamically generated, we need to explicitly say that we will inherit from base template. So in Django, this is how we gonna do that. Up here, because this is, you must do this at the top of the page. So the syntax is very simple, like down there. You need to say extends from where base.html. So that's it. You don't need to say down there and extends or end base template. No. This is just like including PHP, right? So you don't need to close anything. Now when I refresh, what will happen? Interesting. Why we don't see actual listing and we see navigation? Well, the reason is there is that blocks of content that we need to specify in Django. Why? Well, base template is base template, and there is a lot of generic things that you can put here. Now, when you customize a page, you need to have some way to override that thing if you need it, when you need it from base template, and you will use blocks of content. Now the name for the blocks is up to you, but this is general syntax. So let me just use, for example, here, or no, up here, down the body tag, block for site name. How to create it? Like this, block. You will always use block. You must use block. Now, name is up to you. So, site name. Now, when you have opened it, you need to close it. Okay. How to state that? And block. Okay. Now, of course, we need some generic site name here. So, h1 and my site name or something stupid like that. Now, when you go to your index page and when you click refresh, up here you need to see that generic site name. See, it works. So question, how to define custom site name or custom page name? And that's the objective of block of content. Well, go to your index page and up here, for example, up from h1, let's use block with the same name, block site name, and let's close it like end block. That must be concatenated, and here we will say custom, uppercase, custom page title. Yeah, so that's the simplest possible scenario. Now when we refresh our page, yes, there is generic stuff in base template, but because we define that thing into index.html, which is custom page, our custom page, now we will see custom results here. If I didn't create any kind of mess. Refresh, and there you go. Now, why did I tell you this? Because of that listing here. So, let's change first. Let's delete it because I don't want to confuse ourselves. Okay, I will delete this block. We don't need it. We understand those blocks now. Okay. Now, not up, but down there, we will create block dedicated for listing. So block listing, which will be empty, and block. Now, why we can have it here empty and fulfilled in index HTML page? Because this is enough. Assumption is if you leave some empty block here, that means that you know that you will change them for your own reasons into customized individual pages, which in our case is index HTML page or any other page that will be dynamically generated. So where I was mentally, yeah, we need to go to index page and see this block. We need to enclose it into our general block, and then this will be activated. This will override that thing into base template, but that thing in a base template will exist if we create any other page that needs a custom block. So I'm just gonna shut up and yeah. So block, what was the name? Listing? I think listing. And of course we need to close it down there. And block concatenated. So let me just, for simplicity reason, have that, you know, separated. Maybe it's easy for you to understand. So our for loop is inside of our listing block. So this is custom block where we are actually doing something concrete, and this is like generic empty block. Okay, so I think that I have created everything nice. There you go. So that's cool stuff. Now the reason, because you don't see those, you know, block of for H1 is because we deleted. So we have concrete stuff here. The navigation and listing working completely fine. So what is the moral of the story? If you have block in base template, you can have it empty, but then you need to state what concretely you want to do into individual pages. My advice is to, if you have block, and you will have them over time a lot, fulfill them with some general content that is easy to understand for you into development. And of course, as you are finishing your website, you will everything have polished, not polished but polished, you know. So yeah, I think that's pretty much enough for one tutorial. Objective in next tutorial will be to understand dynamic navigation, and then we will split base template into header and footer. Yeah, so I'm gonna shut up. Thank you for watching, for support, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, as I promised, in this tutorial we're going to learn actually three things, really simple stuff. First, how to create dynamic navigation, and how to understand errors that will that's gonna happen if you don't set the routes and functions, and how to split base template into header and footer and content section. So that's just the theory. Okay, let's go slowly. First thing first. See this navigation, the simplest possible hard-coded HTML thing. How to create dynamic navigation? You cannot just type here some hard-coded link. What you need to do is use Django App. Some people also use the term, I think, Jinja syntax or Yinya or something. I just use the term Django App. Okay, so this is already known, familiar to you. So left brackets, curly brackets, and then right curly brackets, and then inside % symbols. After that, you cannot say link or href, you must say URL. Okay, after that, inside of quotes, you need to call specific route, which will call specific function that's already created. If you are going to call route that is not set, you will get error in your server. Okay, so because we are accessing home, this is for root of our website, then we need to go to index route, which will lead us to index page. Okay, now when I save this and when I go to my page, when I refresh, everything is fine. When I click on home, everything is fine. But if I say the same thing for routes and functions that are not defined, then I will get myself into error. For example, if I right now try to create a route, I mean link to non-existing URL or route like add, for add new post, when I click save and refresh our page, I get the thing reverse for add not found. Add is not a valid view function or pattern name. So you cannot just state them here if you don't have them. So the same thing will be, for example, for admin panel, like URL and admin, with a slight difference. Here we need to create full big function, and here, because we already have a Django admin panel, we don't need to create it all over again because we have it. We will just learn how to create simple function that will redirect to Django admin. But to evade errors, I will just remove this non-existing link, and I will be happy with this one, and over time we will learn how to create those routes, pages and function. So that's the thing. Now next thing, let's create header and footer, new folder, and let's create, for example, common parts of website, and inside header HTML and footer HTML, enter, and let's copy paste from base template that thing, which will be this part. No, this part, because block listing is only for index page. We just need this. And let's copy paste that to header, right? Save, that's fine. Base template, again, just we will copy this, and we will leave this block in place. So this. Now, how to include into base template, how to include those individual parts? The thing is really simple. You just need to say include. You don't need to import anything here. You just need to say like include like a classical PHP include stuff. Include from parts folder header HTML with navigation, and down there we will include footer for analytic or advertising or additional smaller navigation. Include parts footer HTML, and I think that everything is fine now. And okay, we have extends base HTML already in place. Let's save, and when I refresh now, everything need go to normal. So refresh, and there you go, everything works. Now let's go again through everything, because I definitely want you to understand this. It is important. So yeah, we created parts folder with the two common things like header and footer. From base template we copy pasted here upper part of website, the common stuff, the navigation, and in the footer we just have these two lines. For example, if you're using Bootstrap 4, you will have that 3 lines that we'll call JavaScript thingies. I think there is 3 lines if you go to Bootstrap 4 documentation that would need to be included here. And I will always say this: grab a Bootstrap 4 from Content Delivery Network, because if you start doing all kind of local host, local custom Bootstrap CSS stuff, you will get yourself into mess. Just grab it from Content Delivery Network and forget it. Some people care too much about, you know, how fast the page will load, but I think that, you know, your hosting parameters, I mean servers, are pretty much able to handle all your worries, right? So save your time and don't care about hardware. So again, yeah, in a header section we have dynamic navigation, which will work in this simple case for index route for home, because we have that into routes and views file. But if you copy paste that down there with corresponding functions, you will get error because we didn't created routes and functions into views file. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We can also try to create here block of navigation, and the thing will work like block of navigation, and we of course need to end it down there, and block. So now when I go to our page and refresh, the thing will be the same. Now the reason why it is the same is because base inherits from header. I mean, index inherits from base and base inherits from header. Okay, now when we are at the end of this tutorial, one practical advice: don't create layers of custom navigation. Just do have custom pages, but don't mess around with levels of navigation, because that means you can use that, you must use this file and that file and this folder and that folder and this block and next block and next block and so on, and you will get yourself into mess. So don't just waste your time. Leave navigation, simplify it, put it into header and leave it there and be happy. Okay, if you want to waste your time on blocks of content, then use that time on a custom pages for something that will create something useful for viewers, like articles and posts and so on. Leave navigation simple as possible. Okay, so the next thing is what we're gonna do in next tutorial is we will dynamically create results, I mean details for all entries here. For example, when I click on test entry, that will lead us to details of post with ID 1 and so on and so on. We will see the ID, the title, the text and the data. That means that we need to create route for details page that will be dynamically generated, and little more complicated details function in a views file. But let's just leave it for our next tutorial. I definitely need to go to sleep, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's turn this listing into actual links. So every time when I click somewhere here, for example on title, it will lead us to details about entry. So that's the objective. Okay, go to index.html and let's turn everything on this line into link, href. And as I said, we will grab everything for now and we will beautify it a little bit later. So what we need to put here is not this and that and URL to specific page. No, we must use another approach here, which will become part of URL, and that part can tend to be big over time. It depends what you're grabbing from here to put into requests. So the simplest possible and the most effective scenario is to use ID that you're going to extract from SQLite, MySQL, whatever. So the name of the file will be of route will be details, then slash, and then post, as I said. So let's copy paste it right here, and now when I save and refresh, I will turn everything here into routes, into links. Refresh. Oops, sorry, I messed something up. Just a second. That was extremely stupid, but I really can't see where I'm creating error here. Just a second, this is dumb. Oh yeah, it works, so I don't know why it didn't work. Anyway, look, see this, when I hover over here, in a lower left corner you will see after port number slash details 1, slash details 2, slash details 3. That means that you will not see, for example, details.html or details.py and then /1, because this is not PHP, this is Django and Python. Okay, see, the same thing. Now, of course, that we have page not found because we don't have route, we don't have function, and we don't have HTML report page. So let's create it. Okay, next thing, let's go to views file, and down there we will define details function. So def details, and we need to grab two things here. Normally request, and after request we are grabbing that ID. That's what we need. So that's what functions need. Now we need to do something with that thing. We need to put results of our grabbing into variable, so, or object, call it whatever. For example, one result for one entry. What is the location of from results? Posts. Okay, exactly like it's here. Okay, but here we are grabbing everything up to 10, and here we are grabbing individual things. So dot objects dot get. See, they're using all, I mean we are using all, and now we are using get. Now get what? Get ID. Which one? This one. Okay, now why do we need two things here? Well, this is actual ID and this is the name for that ID. So you can use something else here, but you know, it's I don't know, it's easier for me to understand it like that. Now when we have result exactly like it's here, we need to create context, and let's use the same name for context. I mean same context, which will of course be different because this is the all results and this is the only one result. So the approach is similar, like the name will be one for result, and we need to grab actual results. After that, let's generate our page, return our page. Return rendered page based on request. Request, yeah, I typed that correctly, I think. Based on request, the name of file that we are going to create will be details.html, and in details HTML, in holes into details HTML template, we will fulfill that with dictionary, which is actually content from here. So context, and that's it for function. So we need to test it. To test it, we need a local route. Okay, so we will add that right here into URL's local switchboard. So path, when user hits something that looks like this, details, and then slash, and then integer. So ID is integer. Okay, this is Django way of doing things. Integer, that will be ID. You can have a couple of integers, it depends what you're grabbing into request. So when user hits something that will look like this, the specific function need to be activated that we have created already. So views dot detail, oops, damn it, details, and the handle or name or middle name, call it whatever, will for simplicity reasons be of course details. Now we need those handles to put them into templates and leave them there, and if we need to change the name of functions and what functions do, we will do that into URLs and views. It depends. I mean, the most of the people will just leave it as it is and not to mess too much around. Just leave this same as this, and you will be fine. Okay, so we have routes, we have views, we have the lists from index page. Now we need to create how our HTML template will look like, because if you go here, refresh and click, you will get errors because template does not exist at details/1. So the number of posts is not important. We don't have any kind of templates dedicated for details. Right, so this is normal error. It is easy to understand why we have it. Okay, now next thing. Let's go to our editor, to templates, and we will create new file, details.html. So there is no .py or .python or .php, no such thing, just HTML template. Now that template need to inherit from base template because we have navigation there. So extends a base HTML. Okay, after that we need to create content with results, block of content, block of results. So let's just say block will be details, and we also need to end it, and block, and inside for every ID we will grab everything that we can. So we will use unordered list and li's individual things. So because we have ID and the title and text and date of creation, we need to have 4 of those. So right, okay. Now how to grab individual things from our general results? Let me just show that to you. See, we are using here 1. Okay, that is the name from where we will extract details. So this is one result where we have everything for this one post. So let's extract particles. Right, so where was not index but details? Yeah. Okay, so how to type that? Django way 1, that is everything about one post. Okay, about just that one post, like details/1, everything about that. So ID, we need ID, and let me just copy paste this to save ourselves a little bit of time. After that we need the title. After that we need what else we have in posts? Text. And after that we need the date of creation. I think that I was using create. Let me see. Where is models? Created. Okay, created. Right. So now when I save the stuff and when I refresh, apparently everything will, well, I hope so that it will work. So let's click, and we don't see anything, and that's probably because I was using the block that is not defined in a base template. But the page actually works. See, so the URL, the route is set correctly. So let me fix that thing with the details. Right here I have block of details, but I don't have it in the base template. So this is for listing. If I have it, and then down there I need also that for what was the name? What was the name I was using? Details, yeah. Details. And yeah, there you go. So that works. Now there is, I think that even if we remove the block from both base template and from details page, that it will work. Just allow me a split of a second to change that here. So I will remove this from base template and also right here, and I think it will work. I don't know, let me see. No, I definitely need the content, blocks. So that was a stupid assumption, but you know what I was hoping here, that I can customize the things on a custom pages without typing these blocks. I was trying to save myself a little bit of time, but apparently that was that was done by Dia. So this is like generic placeholders in a base template, and then that means that you need to fulfill those holes into custom places, something like that. Definitely, I do understand that some people will find this difficult, but the only way to handle Django, which is not that complicated, is to practice. I mean, that's the way for any framework or any programming language. So let me just repeat what we have done here. The first thing is, in index page we have created a link. Okay, all results we have turned that into link. Remember, you are not using here that details.php, details.py. You're using details and then slash and then id. So you cannot just say here post.id without these brackets. You must use them. This is the way how you extract brackets from tables. Okay, so you must use these curly brackets, double of them, right? So that was one step. The second step was we have define details function into views file that need to grab two things, the request and ID. So why do we need the ID? Because that's the way how to create route. See, when I hover here in the lower left corner we have that request, how it look like. So that means that we can work on it more. We can pass that to template basically. Yeah, I'm using that terminology, but you know, so there is no details.py. Okay, that's really important. Now the next thing what we have done, okay, let me explain on this a little bit more. Grab only one thing from our table, and that thing will be defined by ID, and then put that into one, and that name that one as a one. So this is name and this is real stuff. So this is dictionary. So let's name it context, and let's pass that context to rendered details.html page. Now after that we need to go to URLs and then set that specific route, how it look like, details slash specific number, which is integer, and then when user hits the server, send it to views.details function, and the name in template will be details. So that's kind of handle. So how our HTML file will look like? Enclose it into block, specific block with some name like details or blah 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 or something HTML. But it is important to note that that thing must also be into base empty. Okay, so that's how I do stuff. Now we have simple else here. So this is not for loop. Okay, this is just extracting things from individual result. The name of that individual result is one, and then dot, and then what you need nicely: ID, title, text, and created. Why? Because this is how we have defined our table. Title, text, and created, you see that we have defined, but ID is done for us by default. Okay, so I think it's relatively simple to understand now. If you don't get it, okay, that means that you are not stupid. You just need a half an hour more, 2 hours more, 1 week more, but eventually you will get there. You will understand, because if I can understand this, you can too. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, for subscription and support, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, in this tutorial we are going to learn about redirects, meaning when I click on this admin, I want to go to administration panel, Django administration. Before doing that, let's fix this list here because it's kind of ugly, everything is linked. So I want a link to be just ID and title, and content will be just black letters. And after that we can also add here a backlink to home page, which is a simple thing to do. Okay, so where is my editor? Right. What I was talking about? Yeah, index page, and let's switch this end of link from everything online to up to here, and then that will be, I think, enough. Right, so that's kind of nicer. So next thing is adding a backlink to home page. Why? Because I mean the situation right now is simple. We have 4 lines, but if we have a lot of text here, it will be nice if we have that backlink at the end of listing. So we need to go to details, and right here we will add a link to home page. And you know that this is classical Django linking, dynamic stuff. We will link to index or route of our website, and let's just use uppercase home or index or home page, whatever. So refresh, and that works, so that's fine. Let me see requests on a server. That's cool, so that works. Right, redirection. First thing first, let's go into navigation, and here we need to link to URL, I mean route admin. That means that we need to create views function and URL, I mean route. So let's do that. URL new path when user access admin, some function must be activated from views file dot admin. That will be the name of function, and the name in the templates, if we need it, will be admin, comma, so that's URL. The next thing is, let's go to, yeah, let's create that function. So see this line, every time when you're redirecting, you also need to include it right here and then use it later. So it's just simple, just type redirect. So that's base, and down there let's create function for redirection, def admin, that's name of our function, request, and then we need to say what's gonna happen. I'm gonna use the object here with name response. So when user clicks on that link, I want a response, and the response will be a redirect to admin section, and we need to return that, basically to render. So return response. So every time when user hits this link URL on our website, we want to redirect it to admin section. You can redirect it if you have included that option onto this line, okay? And then when we are done with that, we need to render it, basically, so return response. So that's basically multi-layer response. So I think that everything will be fine now. Refresh. Here we have a new color, which means the new link, unvisited up till now. And see in the lower left corner, everything is fine. So port/admin/, and there you go. See? Now don't worry about this part, that will be done automatically. We have just created this route. So let's log in with the top secure password. And yeah, that works. Cool stuff, bro. So let's log out, let's check our page again. Home works, this works, admin works, And now in the next tutorial we need to create a relatively decent function that will grab things from form, HTML form, and then put it into our kind of database. So yeah, this was relatively short tutorial. Anyway, thank you for watching, for subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, in this tutorial and next one we will learn how to create form to enter new stuff, to get them into database, which means that we will go through new route, new function, new template for adding things. What else? We will fix this navigation, and I think that will be pretty much that for this playlist, because we are at the end. Okay, so let's just go and get the stuff done. Right, so let's go to navigation, and see this, we need to fix it. That basically means that we are creating, when user clicks on navigation on add, that will lead him to new route, which will lead him to new function that will generate HTML form. Okay, so multi-layer routing kinda. Now I'm using here add, but you can use whatever you like new post, new stuff, data entry. You can split it whatever you like. It's up to you. But when you're splitting it, do you use underscore like this? Okay. Now next thing, we have this fixed. So let's go to routing and path. So when user access add / we will send that person to views dot add, and handle in templates will be add. Very simple stuff. So now we have routing. Let me just check. We will probably get error here. Yeah, this site can be reached because we need a function and form and so on. So let's do that. Let's go to templates folder, new file, new HTML page, add.html, and we will inherit from base template again, extends from base.html, because base HTML extends from footer and header. So that's kind of our organization, and we need also block for form. So new block, for example, new post. We also need to close it like end block, and because we have it into custom page, we also need to get that into base template, because if we don't do that, we will run into programs. So this is kind of generic placeholders. I mean, if you need it for some reason, you can put actual content here, and then that will have priority basically. But I just organize my CMS in this way. So these are just empty stuff, and then I can work into details into custom pages. So where I was, new post, okay, right. So this is the place for form. Let's do that. Form. We don't use CSS, so we don't need class. We are using method which will be post. And we cannot just say add.html here because it's dumb. This is not how to do stuff in Django. We can use PHP or Py. No, we need to use Django stuff here, Django App. So you already know this. A URL that will lead to add, and now we need to activate security. To activate security, we will use cross-site request forgery protection. And how to do that? After you create first line of form, you will call that token, and this is how you basically start your security. So in any template that uses a post form, use this token tag inside the form element if the form is for an internal URL. Okay, so just copy paste this after this line. Right, let me just actually do that. So I will just copy that from here to here. And now let's create labels. So label for title, see, models, we have title and text, and we need entry fields for that. Right, so let's work on that. Label for title, and will be title. That's just label, nothing really important. Input type will be some short text, name, title. We don't need value. ID, let's say title if you need it. Right, so a couple of breaks after that, and let's go to part dedicated for big content. So we will not use input type text, we will use text area basically, because that's a lot of text. So first let's create label for actual text, or new to do, or something like that, who cares. So text area, name will be text, and rows, let's say 10, and columns, well, that's fine. Do I need to add something here more? Let me think. This is simplest possible HTML form scenario. Break again, and then we need submit button. So input type submit, and value submit, and now we pretty much have HTML stuff, routing, and in the next tutorial we are going to create a dedicated add function, and we need to talk about that a little bit more. Up to here this was not complicated, we have just fixed navigation with this, then we have added another route, which is easy, and then we have fixed we have opened a new file, extends base.html, the new block of content, which also need to be into base template. Do I have it? New post, okay, new post, base template, okay, that's cool. Right, so then we have opened form, and this is how you select which function will process basically stuff. The method will be post. We have layers of security, so label for text, then input field, a little bit of breaks, label for text, big text area, which is defined with rows and columns, then again break, and of course we need submit button. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So in the next tutorial we are going to create and understand function which will grab everything from form and put it into our table. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up and render. Thank you for watching, for support and subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, now when we have our form ready here, let's create corresponding function. We're gonna do that right here. Def add, that will be the name, and we will always deal with requests. And now we need to say if request method equals post, and that is the true because see, method is post, so that's fine. So if that's the case, then we need to grab particles from our form into table. How to do that? So first we are grabbing title, request will be post, of course, and we are extracting title, because in our models we have title, and then a little bit of text, and ID will be created automatically, and created is just date time, default date time at the moment of execution. So views, okay. Now the same thing for text area. Let's just say text. I mean, you can use whatever you like here, but it's a kind of simplified thing to use the same thing. Maybe that will confuse some people. Yeah, people. This is just operation, and then operation of extracting, and then we are putting the results here. So request.post, what was it, text. So now we need to actual action of saving things. Now we have them, and now we need to save them. So action or saving, something like that. Posts, that's the name of our table, right? Our model, where is it? Yeah, here. So posts, and then title. Which title? This title, okay, equals this title here, and also we are grabbing text is equal this text here, and let me just see, right, so we need to save things, action.save, and then after we have done that, we will redirect the addition form to index page. So after we are done, we want to go to home page. So return redirect to index, and index is just a name for route. So we are rerouting to index after operation of entering is done. And if how to explain this, let me think. If we fail to enter everything in a form, we want to stay on a form. So also kind of redirection, I mean rendering existing page, but we are just getting ourselves to the same spot. So request, and then load again form. So let me just explain again. Function for grabbing things from form, operation of extraction of title, result put here, operation of extraction of text, put results here, actual preparation for actions. We need to put things into posts, table or model, call it whatever. So this is actual name that we must use. Why? Because we are using that into models, title and text, and we are just using the same name here. I mean, you can use something else, but I don't know, it's easiest for me just to use the same name. After we have prepared stuff, we will finish the operation, and after we are done with that, if everything is fine, we will return ourselves to index route, which is already established into URLs file, and that works perfectly. If this fails, we will go to same page to add a new stuff or to correct our errors. So I think that's it. So let me just see if I create some error. Okay, that works. So home, admin, that works. New post, and apparently that works. So that's kind of nice. We can resize text area. So let me see. New post from our custom form and some text and submit. That's fine. Okay, so okay, that's it, that works. And 4 is ID, so that's cool, and this is cool, and this is actual date time meta. home that work. Well, yes, actually we get the job done. So that's kind of cool. That was quick. Right, so what we can fix here? Let me see. So title, okay, I mean, yeah, so that's it. We get our to-do application done, pretty much. So let me just go and repeat the process. When in last tutorial we have done this HTML form, really simple stuff, where we have two labels for title and for text, which corresponds to data in posts, title and text, and then we went to views file and created corresponding function that will be activated after user goes to this route, which is defined in urls.py, which is sub-application kinda switchboard. So in that function, if everything is fine, we will grab title and text into corresponding variables, then we prepare that, then we save that, and then we return to index page. Okay, that's pretty much it. So let me just admire myself for a couple of seconds here. Let me check that works. Okay, let me observe the status in a server for a second. I wanna be sure. Right, so home, that works. New post, that's cool. New post, okay. Admin, right, that's cool. Okay, details. Well, yeah, everything works. So well, that's it, we're done. So here's the task for you. I mean task, job, whatever, practice, I don't know. Do a custom HTML and CSS here, beautify this, upgrade this, and you can even put it on internet or on intranet in your house or company, whatever you do. And definitely use things like front-end frameworks like Booster 4. I mean, you can turn this into really nice stuff, really beautiful kind of application. I mean, this is not, you know, people use the term website. I mean, for me, website is something that has a couple of hundreds of pages of pure HTML. This is application. I mean, it's application. It's a web application. You can turn it into money-making beast if you like, with drop shipping or something, some weird backend advertising. Turn it into blog or some 4chan copy stuff. I don't know. Look, I need to go to catch some sleep, and see you in next playlist. As always, thank you for watching, for subscription and for support, and yeah, see you in next tutorials.